Now, this story actually came out a few years ago. It's actually on my channel. If you go back and look up the story of Thomas Valva, this story was incredibly sad for a lot of different reasons. Before we dive into the details, what we're really getting is an update. So what happens is sometimes we talk about these stories so early that you don't get what the outcome is going to be once they go through the court proceedings. So we actually do have some of that information now. But before we get there, let me give you guys a disclaimer, because I got to tell you about what these idiots did to this baby real quick. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. So yes, this is an update story, and I want you guys to look at this baby. Let me see if I can back this up for a second before I even show the caretakers of this child. Beautiful baby boy. I want y'all to look at his picture and just understand what happened to him should not have happened, and this baby suffered all the way to the end. So I'm getting this story from dailymail.com. They give a lot of stories. Thank you, Daily Mail, for this particular article. A stepmom who described herself as evil. She described herself as evil. You just know you ain't the S word when you describe yourself as evil. Has been convicted, finally, of murdering her NYPD police officer fiance's autistic 8-year-old son by exiling him to a freezing garage floor. If you didn't see this original video, I'll probably post a link in the description box so you can find it a lot easier. Listen to my original commentary on this story. It was insane what they did to this baby. So hashtag dad's girlfriend. Angela Polina admitted in testimony earlier this week that she helped send her stepsons, Thomas and Anthony, to sleep in the garage at their Long Island home for months. While she, her fiance, Michael Valva, the NYPD cop, and her daughter slept inside the warm, I think they meant the warm house, inside the warm. I was evil. I exiled them. I didn't know what to do. My hands were tied, Polina confessed. Now, you had a choice. And I hate when people say that. Like, I didn't have a choice. No, you always have a choice. She didn't want to do the right thing, and she's getting punished for not doing the right thing, because these both are just terrible, trashy people. She claimed, however, she didn't believe stepson Thomas Valva was near death moments before he died of hypothermia, despite his body temperature falling to a shocking 76 degrees. I find that unbelievable that you wouldn't take. Let me see if I can get her up on the screen. The woman right there and the man right there wouldn't take their asses outside and go sleep in that type of condition. But you will force children who can't speak for themselves nor defend themselves against the tyranny of their caretakers. If you can't do it, then you shouldn't make the children do it. That goes for any type of punishment or disciplines. If the parents can't do it, the children can't do it. That should be a rule of thumb, right? If you wouldn't want somebody to do that to you, don't do it to the kids. Whether it comes to how you feed them, how you talk to them, or how you discipline them. I think that's a pretty simple damn concept. But I digress. Maybe we just still got some non-smart people in the world. I'm not a doctor. He didn't appear at the time to be in any danger. I didn't see that he was blue. But again, I want to remind you, she wouldn't go take her big blubbery butt out there and go sleep in the cold. That just pisses me off. Instead of helping the boy, she returned to the kitchen to pay the family bills as he perished on the garage floor. Tina Licari, Polina's daughter, former piano teacher, testified that she saw Polina have vicious outbursts towards the boys, the New York Post reported. At one point, she said she heard her mock Thomas's autism, taunting him for being unable to talk. Let me tell you guys something. First of all, let me give a shout out to Braden's Gift. Braden's Gift, BRAYDEN''S Gift, GIFT. If you guys look that up, that's an organization that that us as bikers, along with a lot of other peoples in the community of Texas, have helped do a fundraiser to raise money for autism awareness. So this story particularly bothers me because all children should be loved equally, whether they have special needs or not. If you cannot understand that all children need to be loved, protected, and provided for, and should not be hated for their special needs, then you should not be a parent. You should not be a caretaker. You should not be around children. We do this thing in real life. When you're talking about being an advocate in real life, I've shown you guys some of the things that I've done, and I continue to keep showing you guys in my real personal life some of the things that I'm a part of when it comes to getting justice for our children, when it comes to showing support in our community. I think there's a lot of people in my chat, and they could even post in there. I want some of you guys to post in the comment section about some of the things that you participate in, no matter whether it be a food bank or a fundraiser, whatever it is that you're doing. I want you guys to represent some of the things that you're doing. Speak on it. If you guys do something, speak on it. We do this thing called a puzzle run, where we get the local biker community together. We get we get on TV. We get a whole bunch of other people together. We get vendors together. Everybody helps raise money to put towards the cause of children with autism. Our next one is actually going to be on April the 22nd of 2023. So depending when you watch this video, just know that we're going to be having an event. If you guys want to look into how you can contribute or help, you can definitely look that up. But there are other organizations outside of Braden's Gift, but this is just one among many. But we're trying to make a difference, and we're trying to help also. So I want to throw that out there. This woman made fun of him. What type of special evil is that? That this baby has no control over that. It's not like he woke up one day and chose to not be able to speak properly, to articulate himself, or for his brain to just be different. For him to need a little bit extra. For him to need someone to care just a little bit more. You may, like, that's just the, I just think don't y'all agree that there's like a special place in hell for people who mock folks like that? For people who mock babies like that? What, you think that's funny? She mocked him. I think that alone deserves extra years in prison just for that alone. Like, you are a hateful bitch, you know what. You would think that a wife, a mother, a parent would be more empathetic than that. And I had to focus on that part because that bugged the hell out of me. She mocked him about him being unable to talk. Boy. Authorities discovered that Valva and Paulina sent each other text messages showing their collusion, and Paulina destroyed them because Michael told me to. She confessed. They were eventually seen clearly enough on security footage. She faces 25 years to life when she is sentenced on April the 11th, which is 9 days from now. I hope they give her, instead of 25 years, give her 27 just for mocking that baby. Give her 2 extra years. On January the 17th of 2020, Valva, convicted of murder and now himself serving 25 years to life in prison, made son, Thomas Valva, sleep in the freezing garage the night before he died of hypothermia. Prosecutors revealed over the course of a month-long trial, Valva and his then-fiancée forced his son and his older brother, Anthony, to sleep in the garage of their Long Island home as temperatures plummeted below 20 degrees Fahrenheit. We could put a prayer hands up in the chat and be thankful that at least one of those children survived. That's a blessing in itself. They claimed in court that the boys were forced to endure 16 hours inside the cold garage without blankets or access to a bathroom as punishment for urinating and defecating inside the Center Moriches home. A medical examiner later ruled that Thomas died of hypothermia as authorities said Michael refused to call 911, He refused to call 911 for at least an hour after he became unconscious. I want y'all to listen at this. This fool had the nerve to say, "I am truly sorry. I'm regretful, ashamed, heartbroken, and grief-stricken as I stand here before you, having contributed to the death of my son, Thomas." That's what he said ahead of his sentencing. "I love Thomas with all my heart, and I still love Anthony and Andrew." His attorneys had tried to paint Michael as a loving father who was being manipulated by his then-fiancée, Angelina Pollina, with whom he shared a 2-story Long Island home. They said it was Pollina who had put the idea to force the brothers to sleep in the garage, as Michael tearfully apologized for his actions in court and said Thomas' death was an accident. Let me show you guys where I think the courts got this right. They both got the equal amount of time in prison. They both should be, when she gets convicted or gets her sentencing on April the 11th, which is 9 days from today, depending on when you're watching this video. That's where the courts got this right. They're going to both get 25 years. Well, at least the dad got 25 years to life. If she gets 25 years to life, I think that'll be justice. If she just gets 25 years, then I think that'll still be justice. But the fact that they got the same amount of time, that's what I've been asking for. Because both of these people were caretakers. Both of these people could have made a difference. Both of these people caused this to happen. Both of these people were callous and non-concerned. Didn't give a damn. And watch this baby die. So I think that they both need to suffer the same fate, which is what they're going to get. 25 years. Let me give you guys the fair use. Only got a couple news videos. Allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And no, I don't think any number of time is correct. I always think that when you cause the death of a child, you should get the ultimate penalty under law, life in prison, or maybe worse. But I think 25 years will suffice. It's not going to bring this baby back. So I think that's minimum what they should get.
A second guilty verdict in the heartbreaking case of an 8-year-old boy who froze to death in his family's Long Island garage. His father's ex-fiancée now convicted of second-degree murder. As CBS 2's Jennifer Bisram reports, it was an emotional day in court.
Angela Pollina hung her head and wept as the jury's decision was read. Jurors say it was an emotional trial.
I certainly had heightened emotions, and I think you also have to be able to put those emotions to the side, right, and judge it strictly on the facts of the case, the evidence presented, and I think we did a great job doing that.
Prosecutors say Thomas, an autistic little boy, was tortured and starved by Polina. They say she exiled him to an unheated garage on a 19-degree night and failed to help him as he froze to death.
The evidence shown that it couldn't have been just the hosing down in the backyard alone that made the child hypothermia. That meant it was also the basement, the garage floor, which the defendant was involved with making the child sleep there.
I think this type of case, it just impacts.
I always hate when they cry because they're crying for themselves. They're not crying for the children. They're crying and they're being selfish because they're crying for their own fate, for their own discipline. Or not really discipline, but for their own punishment.
So many of us, in so many different ways, it tugs, tugs at our hearts, We love our kids.
After 5 hours of deliberation, the jury convicted Polina on all charges, second-degree murder and 4 counts of endangering the welfare of a child.
With Thomas, doesn't bring him back, doesn't change anything, doesn't change all those other kids saw what he went through, and they're all going to need a lot of help.
Michael Valva, Thomas's own father, a then NYPD cop, was convicted of murder in the death of his son in November and is serving 25 years to life.
Try to learn lessons from what happened in this case and to take steps to make sure that something like this never, ever again happens in Suffolk County.
On Long Island, Jennifer Bisram, CBS 2 News.
Now to breaking news on Long Island.
Right now, we're going to turn to breaking news on Long Island.
The Suffolk County home where 8-year-old Thomas Valva froze to death is now in foreclosure. CBS 2's Jennifer McLogan reports it will be auctioned on the same day his father's former fiancée is sentenced for the child's murder.
Prosecutors called this the House of Horrors. 11 Bittersweet Lane Center, Moriches. The front door now chained, the garage boarded, where inside 8-year-old Thomas Valva froze to death on a winter day in 2020.
Guilty.
His father, Michael, serving 25 to life for his son's murder. And on April 11th, Valva's ex-fiancée, Angela Polina, will be sentenced on the very day their former home will be auctioned to the highest bidder.
Everybody would like to see these children regain something from the sale of this house. Sadly, the bank that mortgaged the house is the person that is owed the money.
The bank gets the money from the in-person auction to be held at Brookhaven Town Hall. Jurors spoke after the trial, saying there's more to investigate, more to understand, and much more to reform.
We worked hard to reform the system immediately after Thomas's death. But there are lingering concerns.
She says although passing the Child Protective Services Act, enhancing safety training, stricter supervision, smaller caseloads, better coordination, there must be an outside independent entity to appeal to.
The problem comes from the fact that we can't get enough employees to staff that department because the salaries are simply too low.
Now you heard what they just said? Right there. This is something I've talked about before, and apparently I caused a stir on my channel when I said that before we start giving out foreign aid to other countries for any freaking reason, as long as we have underpaid teachers, not enough CPS workers, and as long as we have homeless people, we shouldn't be giving foreign aid to any other country for any reason at all. I think all of our funding and resources need to stay at home, and America needs to be put first. I don't even know why that would even cause a stir with people. Yes, we would love to be able to help other countries and other people that need help, but damn it, we need help here too, at home. What's wrong with fixing your house before you try to go fix your neighbor's house? If your house is on fire and your neighbor's house is on fire, whose house do you worry about first? If your house is on fire and somebody else's house is on fire on the other side of town, whose fire would you put out first? I think that's a simple concept.
That department because the salaries are simply too low.
The CPS commissioner and others in the administration say they are unable to speak to us at this time because they and the county are being sued for $200 million. filed by Thomas's mother. Suffolk's district attorney was elected a year after Thomas's death.
Given my position and the power of my office, I think there's things that we can do that legislators just can't. We do it because we want to make sure that something like this never happens again.
He said.
So here's the thing. I think with him being an ex-police officer, I think makes this even more egregious because he was a public servant, and public servants are usually there to enforce the law and to protect and serve. The fact that he understands that and still rationalize participating in this despicable behavior and then try to create excuses for it, that's where the accountability needs to come in, regardless of whether your attorney is trying to make a case to lessen your sentence. That's not going to lessen your punishment in the afterlife. How about that? That's something you can't control. You can only control that based on your behavior here on earth, based on your decisions, based on the fact that you even got to this point, that you would treat babies like that. If you couldn't endure that type of punishment or discipline yourself, you shouldn't inflict that on your children. 25 to life, nothing's ever going to bring the baby back. I think that's suitable. Give her, in 9 days from now, give her the same exact sentence. I think that'll be justice for Thomas Valva and the rest of those children. I really, really hope that they can continue to grow up, be protected, and be something great. Keep the rest of that family in your prayers. But for these two jerk-offs, they don't ever need to see our society again behind bars until they pass away. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Thank you. Forgot about the GoFundMe. Sorry. Right there. I'm glad it showed up. The GoFundMe was asking for $75,000 in memory of Thomas Valva beneficiary Justina. So I'm assuming that's for the remaining children. So that's on top of them trying to take care of Thomas's final expenses. $75,000 is... I just think that whenever you're asking for GoFundMe money, I think that you should ask for a feasible amount. And if people want to donate over that, then let the people dictate that. Just because you can put up a GoFundMe for $1 million don't mean that you should do it. It's just my personal opinion. I have some thoughts and justified feelings for that. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you.